program. Guy sitting beside me, you should know by now, the head coach of Furman's baseball team on the eve of year number 2 of the Brett Harker era is Brett Harker.
Yeah, how we doing, Dan?
Good. It'd be interesting if it was somebody else on the eve of the Brett Harker era.
Yeah, that'd be a whole different kind of show there.
Yeah, it would. You look somewhat relaxed.
Well, thank you. I feel like just so different than other sports, and there's just so much prep time going into it. You're just more, by the time it gets to this point, you're like, let's get this thing going. You know, we've been practicing since we got back into school in the fall, and ready to see a different colored jersey in the other dugout, that's for sure.
Well, we're going to talk about all that as we go through the course of the show. I want to do something, though. I've been doing since last week a countdown of the 9 best moments of 2017, kind of leading into tomorrow's first pitch. The 9 through 3 were just kind of any random order. But yesterday and today, my opinion, these were the 2 biggest moments of the year. So I want to debate you.
Hit me with it. I'm interested in this.
I want you to tell me if you agree that these are the 2 biggest moments. Number 2, this was yesterday, so I'm going to play you yesterday's.
All right.
Southern Conference Tournament, Championship Sunday, 7th inning, 1st and 3rd, nobody out, and Heath Hawkins comes out of the bullpen. The 0-2 pitch, struck him out swinging. Fastball up, 1 down, and a good start for Hawkins. We'll do the 0-2 pitch again. Shelton leading down to third baseline, Moritz at first. Howland's down 4-3 in the 7th. Pitch. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. John Mary, the first base umpire on appeal, fired out the right hand. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hawkins. They're still at 1st and 3rd, and now Webster. That's why it's the greatest game in the world, folks. Every pitch matters. The game can turn on every single pitch. Hawkins with the pause. Brings it again. Struck him out swinging. Breaking ball down. 1st and 3rd, nobody out, and Hawkins comes out of the bullpen and in succession strikes out Goss, Ruiz, and Webster to strand the runners, and in the inning, holy Toledo, we go to the 8th, still down a run, 4-3. And, of course, that would set the stage for Cam Whitehead's game-tying double, the pop-up at the plate that allowed Cam to score. And
that's one of the wildest plays I've ever seen.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And then, of course, Sky Overton's home run in the
that was a special
in
one
the
right
9th. The Will Gaddis coming back out of the bullpen.
Yep.
Hawkins doesn't get those outs, though. Yeah. In that situation, who knows?
Yeah.
Changes the complexion of the game.
That was that's ice in your veins right there, and it's just so fun to see your kids perform like that. Yeah. Gosh, what a rewarding experience, and hearing the fans in the background and stuff, man, that got me going a little bit. Yeah. I like that. That with the espresso I just drank, I'm ready to roll right now. That was awesome.
There's something about being in that venue and any professional part, even from a broadcast standpoint. You know, even if the place isn't packed, there's something about the acoustics that makes it sound that much better.
Just the sounds of baseball. Is it just not beautiful?
Absolutely.
Gosh.
All right, so in my opinion, that was the 2nd biggest moment of last year.
Man, I want to know the first one then, because that was a pretty good one right there.
Well, I chose something that didn't even happen in the Southern Conference tournament. So I'm going to reveal it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to tell you after I play it why I think it was the best, and then we'll see what you think about it.
Okay, let's do it.
But in my estimation, the number 1 moment, the most important moment of Furman's baseball season a year ago.
Oh,
Do I have a drum roll? No, I don't. You got a guess?
I have a guess. I don't want to sound dumb if I'm wrong, though.
Okay.
Did it happen in Cullowhee, North Carolina?
It happened in Cullowhee, North Carolina.
I nailed it.
Jason Costa's 3-run home run against the Catamounts that turned a 2-1 deficit into a 4-2 lead. Take a listen. Let's see. Cleanup hitter or no? Will they ask Costa to bunt? Or are they going to let him swing? Robinson at first playing inside the runner, a step in on the grass. Costa showing no signs of a bunt, and he swings and he hits it high and deep. If it's fair, it's gone. It is, and it is. Home run down the left field line. 3-run shot for Costa. It's 4-2 Paladins. Now, the reason I chose that as the biggest moment of the year,
I'm going to agree with you because I already know where you're going with this.
coming into that game, the Paladins had lost 9 consecutive games. The game prior to that, against USC Upstate, was
the low point of everyone's baseball career, including yourself.
I think one of us used the words, and maybe it was you, maybe it was me, maybe it was both of us. Might have, the old baseball. That's the worst exhibition of baseball I've ever seen. I mean, that Upstate game was just.
It reminded me of. It's probably 3 years ago now. The worst baseball game ever played in college. It was us versus Clemson, where we went up 9 and down 9 in the same game at Floor Field.
Yeah,
and after the game, Jack Leggett came up to me and Ron Smith and said, "We've officially set back college baseball 35 years." And that's what I felt like after the previous game with Upstate at home. And we needed to hit rock bottom, and sometimes that happens, and it's not fun. I'll be honest with you. As a head coach, it's just very, very tough to stay positive. And then, a moment like that, all the things that just brings back all my memories, a lot of times I'll signal out to Coach Harbin what we're thinking about doing. And it was an obvious bunt situation, and we both kind of gave each other a look like, let's swing it. And next thing you know, the ball's flying over their purple monster. And, man, that was a fun feeling right there. And sure enough, that ended up turning that around. I believe at the time, Western was either first or tied for first in the Southern Conference. We're on the road. We sweep them, and then the rest was history. We got hot.
Started an 8-game winning streak.
Yep.
And you put that 9-game losing streak in perspective. Not only was it a 9-game losing streak, but it was also 17 out of 20.
Right.
Which makes finishing 33 and 28 or whatever even that much more amazing.
Right.
But so that swing turned that game around. And, I mean, there were a lot more moving parts to that game as it went on.
Yeah.
But if Costa strikes out, if he grounds into a double play or something there, and it's like, here we go again.
And I remember the way that game ended. I'll never forget it.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, in that streak, the last 3 outs of every game were just, it seemed impossible. And here they come. They're swinging the bats, and everything that hits falls. And the tying runner's at third base, and a lefty is up.
I think the winning run was at second.
The winning run's at second, and I looked in the dugout, and you could tell it was that feeling again. I said, boys, this is – the baseball gods tell us we have to win this way. And as soon as that came out of my mouth, a ball is lasered off the bat and goes right into Brandon Elmy's glove. He doesn't move an inch. It would have decapitated him had he not caught it. And that's just the game of baseball. That one little thing flipped the switch, and then all of a sudden our boys look unbeatable.
It was almost an anticlimactic finish because you're thinking, okay, it's going to have to take something dramatic, and almost before you could blink, boom, the ball game was over.
I will tell you, my heart and hairline needed it. We needed that to be done as soon as possible. But, gosh, all this stuff, you go through all these practices and you're working on every little detail, every new bunt play, every pop-up priority and all that. And then to sit here and talk with you about this and jog my memory about just competing. I mean, once the game starts, man, we're just competing. Gosh, it gets me going and ready for 4 o'clock tomorrow.
So did I do good, Coach?
You did really well. And I like how you went outside the box because it would have been very easy to choose one of the moments in the Southern Conference tournament.
Well, and there were several in 9 through 3.
I'm sure, right.
But I just thought,
well done.
Looking at the big picture of the season.
You've been around a baseball game before, Dan. Yeah. No, that was a great
I'm no Caleb Davis or anything. But
no.
How's the staff? How's everybody feeling? Everybody, you say. I mean, I know how you are this time of year.
Right.
Let's get going. But everything good?
Yeah, we feel good. I will tell you, we've had a little bit of some weird luck, and I'm sure everyone across the country is having this. We've had different types of sicknesses, some injuries here and there that have kind of altered some situations. Jason Costa's got some stuff going on with his elbow right now, and he'll still be able to hit, but we're going to have to monitor that as far as him being able to catch for the first couple weekends. So Taplett's going to step in, and he's done a great job for us. We're not worried about that. We're lucky that we still get to keep Costa in the lineup. Jake Crawford's coming off of a stomach bug. He hasn't been at practice for 2 days, but I actually saw him in the facility before I left. We were coming up with all kinds of lineups with Crawford, without Crawford, with Crawford pitching on Saturday, without Crawford pitching on Saturday. We had a little scare with Elmy. Elmy's completely fine, thank God. We've just had several things where you just start realizing how valuable your guys are, and you always have to have contingency plans. And me and my staff are in there and coming up with 10 different lineups. If this guy's out, this guy's in. But that's fun. That's what it's all about,
So can we wrap Elmy and bubble wrap under his uniform for the season?
Yeah, that guy. I mean, he's so valuable for us, and he just plays. He's played such a good first base and is such a presence in the lineup, and it's just been so. When you talk about Elmy, consistency is what comes to mind. He's just at the end of the year, he's going to hit over 320, and he's going to play a really good first base, and he's had some freak injuries here and there, and really none of them to his fault. The 2 years ago at Presbyterian, the ball up the line, the guy broke his wrist. Last year, right before the Southern Conference tournament, he tears his hamstring on an out-of-conference game up in Belmont. Just some different stuff going like that. But we're really excited about him having a big-time senior year to cap off what's been an unbelievable career for him.
Yeah, that was one of the most heartbreaking things that I've seen in a long time, knowing that he had missed the conference tournament.
And we
the
all
previous
knew
year.
it the second he grabbed his hamstring. It was just everybody's stomach fell. And as much as it hurt the team and it was a bad thing for the team, I think everyone's hearts just broke for him.
Yeah.
And sitting there going, man, that's a guy that does everything the right way, leads our team, and is not going to get to play in the SoCon tournament again. But the good news is that's in the past.
Yeah.
We're moving forward, and he will be our opening, God willing, the creek don't rise. He will be at first base tomorrow, and looking forward to having him be a mainstay in that infield.
Just have him sleep in a padded room somewhere tonight.
He can come home, sleep at the Harker house, wake up, have a nice breakfast.
I remember talking to him. I'll tell you this, and then we'll move on. I remember talking to him. I guess it was the next day, and he was obviously as downtrodden as he could be, but he was trying to put a brave face on it. And I just remember telling him, there are still ways you can help this team. Be a good teammate, use your experience that you have to help the other hitters, to help the other guys, and I get the sense that he was able to do that, but it's still not the same for him.
And it's so cool seeing when you see the leadership come through, and you see, I mean, he's hobbling over there, but he's talking about different ways of holding runners, and because we had Jason Costa play a lot of first base for us in that tournament, and he hadn't played a whole lot. And it's cool seeing those guys just step up and become another coach on your squad. It's pretty cool.
All right, so do we have the opening day lineup? I know you released the opening day rotation or the weekend rotation on Twitter yesterday. Are you set for what the position players are going to look like?
Yeah, I am, and honestly, I need to meet with Mike. Obviously, with Crawford going through that stomach bug, we need to make sure he's going to have the energy and everything. I haven't released it to our players yet, so I'll probably hold off on that. But you guys will find out soon enough. But we feel really good about the lineup we're running out there. I think we have a lot of experience, a lot of really good hitters, and then you got some new faces you're going to see in there that I think are going to have immediate impact and a very, very productive career for us. Yeah.
This, of course, is Brett Harker. He's the baseball coach here at Furman. I want you to think back to this day 1 year ago, the day before the first game of your first season.
Yeah.
Fast forward 365 days. How is today different for you than it was a year ago?
I was way more nervous last year, which is funny because I knew we were running Gaddis out there, and felt good about that. But just the unexpected. I had never done a home plate meeting. I had never written out an official lineup. There were so many things I had never done, and now it's just I feel like that first game, as much as you want to make it about your team, and it is. At the same time, you'd never done anything, and there's a lot of people talking about you in particular, your first game, and this is the way it should be. It should be everybody talking about the team and our seniors, and it's a lot more of a comfortable feeling that this is the way it should be. It shouldn't be about the coaches, but when it's your first year and your first game, almost all the attention is on you, and everybody wanting you to get your first win, and so I prefer this a whole lot, whole lot more.
If you've been paying attention to the social media for Furman baseball,
which consists of Twitter at Furman Baseball, among others. You have seen that there have been some newspaper guys, some TV guys out there talking to your players and giving this team some preseason publicity this week.
Yeah, we've had our fair share of coverage. It's been really good, and I think one of the biggest things, we just have some really interesting, dynamic young men on our team. I mean, anytime you can interview Jake Crawford and Sherman and these guys that have been just huge parts of this program and represent this university so well since their freshman year. I mean, these kids have played for 4 straight years, and what they mean to the community as well. What interesting pieces for them to have, on the news and on their newspapers, and it's cool. This is my first year in my coaching career, which I've been able to see a class go all the way through. I came in with Sherman's class and Elmy and Sims' class, so it's really awesome to see these puppies turn into the young men they are, and we want to send them out with a team that ends up on a wall, a team that has reunions, because championship teams come back.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep reminding them. Do something special with this year and honor these seniors to where you're coming back 25 years from now, because 2018 team is on that wall out there.
Do you like the fact that in the preseason conference polls and predictions that there wasn't a whole lot of love for the Paladins?
Yeah, that's fine with me. And I know that you have different takes on it. I mentioned it to our team, obviously, but if you need other coaches in our league to get you fired up, you don't have what you need in your belly. I think there was a lot of guys that didn't get the respect they deserve, in particular Sherman, but that's good. Go out and prove it, because the end of the year is when it all matters. Yeah. All this is predictions, and rightfully so. Look, those teams ahead of us, they're pretty good too, but the team that's got the most grit and a little fire in their belly, I think, seems to come out on top.
Yeah, the trick to it is somehow being able to capture what we saw over the last 25, 28 games of the year and figure out a way to do that over the course of 56 plus a tournament. And not everybody can do that, and the ones that do are obviously the ones that go on and have those magnificent seasons.
Yeah, I think that's what makes baseball so interesting. If you even say, what is it? What was it? It's so hard to even pinpoint, and it's just, it's a confidence. It's keeping it very simple and executing that pitch. And honestly, at the end of the day, I just think it's learning to compete at all times. If you learn to compete, whether it's, a midweek game with no one in the stands, or, at Clemson in the 9th inning with the games on the line, if you can do that at the end of the year, you're going to have a special year. And that really takes a culture and a kid's buying into a bigger picture. It's so much bigger what we're building. And, Dan, that's the real reason behind all the 1,076 thing. It's to get the kids to buy into something much bigger than themselves, much bigger than even this one team. It's that the culture that we're building and the legacy they're going to leave that people can build on with.
Continuing to chat with Brett Harker as we preview tomorrow's opening day, 4 o'clock first pitch, and of course the broadcast will begin at 3:45. What's the weather bug telling you?
I think it's going to be very nice tomorrow. It's not going to be sunshiny, but it'll be 62 and no rain. Saturday we might have to dodge some raindrops, and then Sunday looks beautiful. So the good news is Marist drove, and I spoke with their head coach. So if we need to do a doubleheader on Sunday, we'd probably start a little bit earlier, as long as Game Ops has the personnel in place, and it looks to be very, very nice on Sunday, sun shining, and we're still planning on going, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll make that call after tomorrow's game, just because that mountain right there and where we live geographically, it feels like it changes every 2 hours with the rain. It went from the entire weekend being 70 and no rain till we weren't going to throw a pitch, to now 2 out of 3 days are looking really good. So I remember canceling a game last year, and it didn't rain at all. And I kind of learned my lesson. Let's not jump the gun too early. Let's let it play out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday in the morning it said that Friday was 20% chance of rain. Early afternoon, that had jumped to 60% chance of rain on Friday.
Right.
And then by the time last night rolled around, it was back down.
And I will tell you, one of the great mysteries on planet Earth, look at what it says for the day, and then click on hourly.
Yeah.
And it'll say 60% chance of rain, and then when you click on hourly, it never goes above 10% at any point. And
you're not supposed to add, are you?
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But we have a tarp, and we have our field does very, very well with weather.
Plenty of strong young men to pull it.
Yeah, we're going to play. We're going to play 3 games. I can tell you that.
Good. As I mentioned yesterday, you released what you hope is going to be your weekend rotation for this weekend, starting with Sherman, Crawford in the middle game, and then maybe a little bit of a surprise based on where you thought you were going to be coming out of the fall.
Right.
Lefty Matt Lazaro.
Matt Lazaro, he's a dynamic freshman. I think he's got a really, really bright future with us. When you guys watch him pitch, you're going to say that's a freshman version of Sherman. I mean, he competes like Sherman. He's composed like Sherman. Got the same kind of stuff as far as mostly a fastball changeup guy, and he's just flat out won it. I mean, he faced the minimum over 4 innings last weekend. That's pretty impressive as a freshman, and we think the kid's going to be really good for us. And I tell our kids all the time, the easiest part of my job is making that starting lineup because they should all know who's on it. It's whoever earned it. And the easiest part of deciding who's our weekend rotation is what guys are getting the most outs. And I think there's no doubt right now in that clubhouse that those 3 are deserving of that starting rotation. And when we get to Clemson, we'll get to Clemson. But right now we got to figure out how to beat Marist.
I was just reading something that Scott Keeler wrote, just kind of going back to what we talked about a moment ago. Not only had Furman lost 8 straight games last year on that Western Carolina, or 9 straight games going into Western Carolina, but the Catamounts had won 7 in a row going into that. So we continue here to talk with Brett Harker. What's your handicap on the rest of the league?
It's going to be really good. I can tell you that. I think that some teams that even struggled last year, I think are going to be very, very good. VMI, I think, is one of the dark horses that no one thinks about as a team. With the amount of wins they had last year, but man, they're quote unquote kids that I thought were good as freshmen and sophomores are now all juniors and seniors. I think their Friday night star is going to be one of the best in the conference. I think he was voted preseason pitcher of the year.
Josh Winder.
Yeah, I've liked him since he was a freshman. He's really good. I think ETSU can really swing it, and with the new coaching staff there, maybe putting a little more emphasis on pitching. I think that they'll be tough. And then, of course, UNCG, Mercer, Sanford, my nemesis up the road, Wofford. They always have their style of baseball that it's always so different than everybody else. It makes you, makes you prepare differently. I think it's going to be a really, really tough conference. But that being said, I think it makes every weekend you got to lock in, and I think our guys are excited about that. I will tell you that our mentality with our mindset with our guys, they understand that. That is not something I have to sell to them. They completely get that. It's more, honestly, it's your midweek games when your kids are coming off of an exam or a chemistry lab, and you got to get them switched over to compete at Upstate. That's the harder task. But going back to your question, I think it's going to be a very even slate with our conference, with our top end teams being very, very difficult.
How does the dynamic down at the Citadel change now that Tony Skoll has gone from ETSU, returned to his alma mater, taken over for Fred Jordan his first year down there?
Yeah, I think anytime there's any kind of change, there's excitement. I think they'll be excited to play, and Citadel has a ton of history of having success. Obviously, they went to the College World Series, and no love lost on my part. I went to college at Charleston, and I coach at Furman. So if there's ever 2 places where Citadel Blue makes you want to throw up, it's me. So I don't want to give them too much credit, but I think they'll obviously they have some great things to recruit to. That ballpark is one of the prettiest in the country, and they have a lot of good things going for them. But I still like the guys in purple.
Well, your predecessor and my former broadcast partner, Ron Smith, if I heard him say it once, I heard him say it 1,000 times.
I cannot wait to hear what you're about to say.
Never trust the Citadel.
Every time a plane would fly over in practice, he would say, "That's the frapping Citadel recording us." That's one of my favorite quotes.
Boy, I could just hear him saying that too.
Yeah. Frapping Citadel.
Yep. That's a very special word from a very special
Oh,
man.
yeah, absolutely.
Hey, as we kind of get into wrap-up mode here, you talked about this is the first time you'll have seen a class through start to finish. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the core of the coaching staff, this is going to be the first time that the entire staff has come back intact in probably, I don't know.
It's been a long time, and it's
Three
so hard
or
to keep.
four seasons,
it's so
maybe?
hard to keep a volunteer assistant.
Yeah.
And we've set up a good system where we're able to create enough income to where it works for our volunteer assistant. And I've told you once, I told you last time we spoke, I think that is such a huge asset for our program, being able to roll over. Look, we had success last year, so we just maintain it. We don't have to teach a new guy or adapt a new guy with his thoughts and philosophies. It's basically just a continuation of last year. Keep it rolling. Like you said, the whole key to this is pick back up that magic that we left off last year. And I think if you had a bunch of new keywords or a bunch of new thoughts and stuff, that might be hard to do, but it's the same for people in their ear and encouraging them and kicking them when they need to be kicked. And we're really excited about returning our entire staff.
You know what to expect from them. They know what to expect from you. Now, obviously, there's a learning curve on both sides with the freshmen.
Right, of course.
But for the guys who have been here, the expectations are clear.
Of course, yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's people don't talk about that a whole lot, but that's a really big deal. It is. Yeah.
And you know what? At this level, keeping that kind of continuity is difficult because whether it's a head coach or an assistant coach, if there's any kind of team success, then the climb up the ladder begins. So I mean, to have the same core group back for a second straight year is nothing to sneeze at.
No, and it's a testament to. We talk about it all the time, and I talk to my assistants and say, look, at some point, as we continue to have success, you're going to have more opportunities. I said, but let's not ever take for granted what we have right now and the work atmosphere we have. And I mean, we feel like we're four very good friends that get to work together, and the atmosphere of having a young coaching staff at a place where there's a lot of momentum, it's not always greener on the other side. It's not. And of course, paychecks can get bigger, but you and I both know there's so much more to life than building up a bank account. And what we're doing here is special, and we're building a culture that's special. And, my coaching staff feels like they have just as much input and as much to put in every brick in that house that we're building as I do. And when you do that, you can keep guys around.
You get them invested.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's great. Anything else? We just ready to roll?
Let's play ball, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
We got the countdown going.
Latham Stadium looks great.
Latham Stadium looks beautiful.
When we sign off the show, I'm going to click that play button and continuing to kind of build the frenzy. We're going to play consecutively and on repeat all 4 wins in the Southern Conference tournament.
Nice.
So just kind of building up until the pregame show starts live from Latham tomorrow. So
I like it.
Looking forward to it. Good luck.
I appreciate it.
Let's have a heck of a year.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Stay tuned. We'll put a wrap on things right after this. Don't go away.
Stuck in a state of falling behind?